coming to the SDL hypothesis, the productive role of SDL in reducing the risk of CVD was first described in 1950, and later in 1980 then came the Framingham Heart study, which showed lower incidence of CAD in individuals with higher levels of SDL cholesterol. And reverse transportation of cholesterol seems to be the protective mechanism for this SDL hypothesis. Then multiple trials were done to raise the SDL, and these trials were first blown due to this SDL hypothesis. And niacin was tested in two important trials like HPS2 Thrive and AIM High, and there was no benefit in major vascular events. But HPS2 Thrive showed increased risk of serious adverse event also. So then came another class, CETP inhibitors, and multiple trials were done. Illuminate was terminated prematurely because of increased mortality, and Dell outcomes X-ray trial didn't show any benefit, though reveal trial was positive trial, but that was maybe due to decrease in LDL levels. So the reasons for first blow of this hypothesis is both inhibitors, CETP inhibitors and niacin, they increase the level of large SDL. And these large SDL was cholesterol overloaded large particles, which may be functionally abnormal. And presence of large particles is linked to lower numbers of circulating LDL particles and primarily of highly atherogenic small dense LDL particles. So second blow to this SDL hypothesis came from genetic studies. All large-scale genetic studies showed that pro-atherogenic lipids, that is LDL and ApoB, are consistently associated with increased CVD, and genetically low SDL is not a determinant of CVD risk. And studies like Copenhagen City Heart, General Population Study, Milano Variant, and other studies also showed that SDL is not associated with CVD. And third blow came from the studies which showed that very high SDL level carries a high risk. EPIC, Norwalk, Case Control, Ideal study, and Canadian study, that is CanHeart, they highlighted that SDL levels more than value of 90 were associated with high risk of all-cause mortality. And one more important study, that EPOC Japan study, they showed association between SDL and ASCVD is not linear, but there is a U-shaped association between SDL and ASCVD risk when the SDL levels were more than 90. So the future is SDL functionality. SDL is a very heterogeneous compound molecule. It is its subpopulation and compositions that dictate their function. So high SDL level where SDL is dysfunctional may not have no clinical benefits, but may even increase risk of CVD. And this SDL dysfunction may be because of SDL loss of function, or maybe because of gain or dysfunction. In one case, it is less atheroprotective, and another case, it is basically more atherogenic also. So coming to the different functions of SDL, the first most and important function is the cholesterol efflux capacity, and other functions are antioxidative activity, anti-inflammatory activity, antithrombotic, anti-apoptic, and the anti-diabetic properties of the SDL. Cholesterol efflux and reverse cholesterol transport is the primarily atheroprotective function of SDL. Aqueous diffusion constitutes a major pathway of cholesterol efflux, but macrophage cholesterol efflux contribute least to the circulating levels of SDL quantity, but it is very important in prevention of the development of cirrhosis, so it may provide an excellent surrogate marker for SDL functionality. And studies like Dallas Heart study and UK EPIC Norwalk study, they found strong inverse association between cholesterol efflux and cardiovascular event. Anti-inflammatory activity, here SDL inhibits the expression of adenosine molecule, and this anti-inflammatory effect was most strongly confirmed by smaller LDL, dense LDL, rather than large SDL. SDL can be inflammatory also. That all depends upon cholesterol, macrophage content, and the signaling pathway. And it becomes pro-inflammatory, especially during the acute phase response. And pro-inflammatory effects of SDL could be beneficial in diseases like sepsis. So low level of SDL cholesterol were predictors of poor prognosis in sepsis patients. SDL has anti-diabetic properties also. All CETP inhibitor trials showed there is a reduction of around 12% in diabetes, and this SDL enhances the pancreatic beta cell function, survival, and they improve the insulin sensitivity. And they decreases apoptosis also and protects beta cell from oxidation by LDL. Antioxidative activity, SDL has good antioxidative activity. Oxidized LDL has been shown to a major driving factor for the development of atherosclerosis. SGL protects LDL from LDL oxidative stress by accepting lipid hydroxide and detoxifying them into the hydroxides. And small SDL inhibit more oxidative activity larger than large SDL. And important proteins which play a role in antioxidative activity are apolipoprotein A1, apolipoprotein M, and pyroxenase. SDL has also antithrombotic activity as it activates the release of prostacyclin, and it attenuates the expression of tissue factor and selectin with downregulation of thrombin generation. It has anti-apoptotic activity also because it inhibits the apoptosis of macrophage and endothelial cell induced by oxidized LDL, and small dense SDL prevent apoptosis by decreasing the release of cytochrome, by preventing degradation of DNA, and by decreasing the protein cystate activity also. And SDL also, as I told you earlier, that SDL also exerts an anti-apoptotic effect on pancreatic beta cell, leading to decrease in the progression of diabetes. Assessment of SDL function can be done by multiple tests. Like first most important test is cholesterol efflux diffusion capacity test. Here I am not going to the details, but this test has a great potential to be used for cardiovascular risk assessment, but there are severe limitations to this test as it is more time consuming, labor intensive, and it is very difficult to apply in routine clinical practice because of lack of standardized protocols. And another important test is anti-inflammatory activity assay. The application of this test as a marker of SDL function in routine practice is limited due to low reproducibility of the test. And another important tests are antioxidative activity assay, endothelial nitric oxide assay, and anti-apoptotic activity assays. But the problem of these tests, they have low reproducibility, they have it takes time, and they are not scalable. They are not available for the general population. So then comes the concept of omics, that is proteomics, lipidomics, transcriptomics. So SDL carries more than 90 proteins which provide the structural and function characteristic unique to the SDL particles. And important proteins in SDL are apolipoproteins, enzymes, lipid transfer protein, proteinase inhibitor, acute phase proteins, and complement components. And currently the research is focused on identifying SDL associated proteins which can serve as a marker for SDL function. So SDL protein can serve as a viable targets for developing drugs that could lower CVD risk. But the major challenge in SDL proteomics is lack of standardization for the isolation of SDL. And good proteomic changes which lead to the dysfunctional SDL are basically the increase in the serum amyloid A2, ApoC3, and alpha-1 antitrypsin, and decrease in the level of good proteins like ApoA1, ApoE, and pyroxenase. These changes can lead to dysfunction of SDL. Coming to the lipidomics, SDL lipidomics comprise around half of the particle mass, and it includes over 200 individual series of lipids. Phospholipids plays important role in cholesterol efflux, and sphingolipids plays important role in endothelial function. And dysfunctional SDL in CAD patient has higher percentage of triglyceride and lower percentage of good cholesterol like cholesterol esters, phosphatidylcholine, and sphingomyelin. SDL lipidomics studies like using mass spectroscopy or NMR techniques are cumbersome, and unlike SDL proteome, it is difficult to target lipidome for modulating of cardiovascular risk. Transcriptomics, RNAs are highly abundant in SDL, and SDL can deliver mRNA to recipient cell, demonstrating a novel mechanism like SDL to cell communication, which is a hormonal feature. And subclasses also can be described according to their density, size, shape, and so these subclasses are very important because small dense LDL particles promote more effectively cholesterol efflux from lipid-laden macrophages, and they are more potent in terms of oxidative, anti-inflammatory, and cytoprotective antithrombotic activity as in comparison to the larger SDL particles. So SDL particle number and mean particle size. SDL particle concentration in circulation and mean size of SDL are new emerging predictors of CVD risk. And studies like MESA cohort, Jupiter, and Dallas, they showed SDL particle was significantly inversely associated with CVD risk even after adjustment of SDL cholesterol. And mean SDL is also a good marker, and mean SDL size shows the inverse association with cardiovascular risk. So future of SDL basically is here the structural components and functional aspect are better predictor of cardiovascular risk than static mass of LDL, SDL cholesterol. And we should have new tests like cholesterol efflux activity assay that could be the norm in the future in clinical practice. And right now, HDL cholesterol is not a target for drug-based therapy at present time. Thank you.